What's going on, bozos? In today's weapon guide we're going to take a look at another fan favourite from Black Ops 2, the M8A1, or the XM8 as it's known in real life. The M8A1 is a new weapon to Call of Duty, and it appears in Black Ops 2 with another unique feature. In Call of Duty we're all used to seeing burst fire weapons that fire in 3-round burst, but the unique trait of the M8A1 is it fires in 4-round bursts. You don't get your hands on the M8A1 until right up to level 49, so it might be a weapon that you want to use a permanent unlock token with, so you get to play with this weapon throughout your prestiges. But let's get started with this guide and take a look at the general features of the M8A1. Damage ratings come in at 35 to 24, that maintains the usual 3 to 5 shot kill, but without a headshot multiplier you don't get rewarded for landing a headshot. Being set up in a 4-round burst configuration means you're going to need 1 burst up close or 2 bursts out to long range. That 35 damage figure up close drops off slightly to 33 after about 6 meters, which means you're going to need 4 shots to kill, but at least this still means you can secure your kills in 1 burst as long as all 4 shots land a hit. The M8A1 does start to drift off in an upwards to right direction under any prolonged fire, but in its burst setup this definitely isn't noticeable in game. And just like that SWAT 556 or those semi-auto weapons, the FAL and the SMR, it's one of the more accurate assault rifles. The iron sights on this weapon are pretty nice and certainly usable, but with it being an accurate weapon you might want to go with the red dot sight just to give you that more precise aim. But as we'll discuss later in this guide, it's kind of a tough one trying to pick and choose attachments. Even with that primary gunfighter wildcard to equip 3 attachments, it's hard trying to pick out just 3. But moving on, let's take a look at some more detailed stats of the M8A1. Because of that 4-round burst configuration, the magazine size is the largest out of all the assault rifles, coming in at 32 presumably because it's a multiple of 4. This means you're going to be able to fire out a total of 8 bursts before having to reload, but this can be increased to 42 rounds with the help of the extended clip. But any mathematicians out there will realise that 42 isn't a multiple of 4, which means you're going to be left with just 2 rounds in your last burst before completely exhausting your magazine. I'm not too sure why they didn't just make it 40 rounds or 44 rounds, meaning a full 10 or 11 bursts, but these are the types of weird stats we always find in Call of Duty games. The full rate of fire for the M8A1 including that burst is 794 rounds per minute, then its reload time weighs in with a pretty decent 2.25 seconds. And to recover some general stats for the assault rifles, you get that moderate aiming speed of 0.25 seconds, as well as that slight movement penalty of 95%. So just like that SWAT 556, this is definitely one versatile weapon. You can use it in either burst fire or use that select fire attachment to convert this weapon to full auto and turn it into one of the best weapons in the game. The great thing about this weapon is it being 4-round burst. If you did decide to use it in burst mode as opposed to in full auto, it performs much better than that SWAT 556. Firing out 4 shots instead of 3 just means you're going to land your 1 burst kills much more easily. I always found that using that SWAT 556 in burst mode was a little bit inconsistent, but with the M8A1 you're less likely to run into those annoying hit markers. On the other hand, if you decided to use that select fire attachment and convert the M8A1 to full automatic, it's kind of like unlocking a new classified weapon in game. This weapon then takes on that almost 800 rounds per minute fire rate and maintains that pretty good 3 to 5 shot kill. This makes it kind of just a tad better than the MTAR, with it having that touch faster fire rate as well as a much faster reload time at the cost of using a pick 10 point for that select fire attachment. So having pretty good stats all around and being quite a versatile weapon, you don't really need to use any specific attachments to kind of remedy any drawbacks, so you can be sure that this one's going to fit perfectly into your own playstyle. You might want to go with that hybrid optic and extended clip and use the weapon in burst mode to create a nice long range rifle. On the other hand, you might want to go with select fire, laser sight and adjustable stock to make it deadly at close range. But let's move on and take a look at my own preference of attachments for the M8A1 in Black Ops 2. While I do enjoy using the M8A1 in burst fire mode from time to time, I think it definitely performs the best when in full auto, so the first attachment I'd advise is select fire. I always end up flicking that switch at the start of a round and using the weapon in full auto for the rest of the game, but I suppose you could always flick between the 2 fire rates depending on what kind of engagement you're in. If you see some guys off in the distance, flick it over to burst fire, and if you're running into a building, switch over to full auto to make you more deadly at close range. I'd next like to go with the suppressor to give me those stealth benefits and to clear out the muzzle flash from those iron sights. When using this weapon with the select fire attachment, that reduced range from the suppressor doesn't really cause much of a problem. But if you're using this weapon in burst fire mode, you wouldn't really want to require 2 or 3 bursts to take out an enemy. Then I'd often run the primary gunfighter wildcard to equip a third attachment of quick draw handle. This is going to allow you to snap on targets much faster and make sure you get the first shot out in a gunfight. But like I mentioned, any configuration of attachments with this weapon works pretty much perfectly, so let me know down in the comments what your preferred setup is. As always, if you're a fan of this weapon, or if you just enjoyed my guide or learned anything new, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up just to help spread the word and share the video with your friends. Don't forget, if you've just stumbled across my videos, don't forget to subscribe, stick around for plenty more of these Black Ops 2 weapon guides. I recently used the M8A1 in a new Punisher loadout for Black Ops 2, so check that one out if you want to see what kind of a class setup you could run with this weapon. With it having quite a futuristic appearance, I might also use it for a future soldier loadout sometime in the future, so stay tuned for that one if you're interested in checking it out. Come and say hello on Twitter or Facebook if you want to chat about anything Black Ops 2 or gaming related. Otherwise, thanks for watching, I'll catch you all later.
Friendly care package inbound.